You are Locked On Braves POSTCAST, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, your team every day.
Hello and welcome into the Braves POSTCAST, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Grant McAuley alongside Jake Mastroianni after a 4-2 Braves win for another serious victory for this club. A little bit of momentum, dare I say, on this homestand. The Braves able to keep it going, even if their offense has not been clicking on all cylinders. They've been doing enough, and the pitching the Braves continue to get night in and night out has given them the opportunity to do some winning here lately. And they have been doing just that. We'll talk all about this win over the Nationals, another series victory for this club, and, of course, get you set up for Sunday's finale and what comes after that as the Braves will head out on the road for an important road trip against a couple of tough clubs, one of which they're chasing in the National League East. I think we all know who that is. We'll get to that later on. First of all, hit that thumbs up and subscribe to Locked On Sports Atlanta here on YouTube and to Locked On Braves, wherever you get your podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Supply House. SupplyHouse.com is a reliable way to get parts fast. Shop for your next plumbing, HVAC, or electrical job and get fast shipping from coast to coast with SupplyHouse.com. Well, Jake, we have seen the Braves offense, I think, searching for just enough runs, and that's a credit to the pitching staff for keeping all these games manageable. But it is starting to feel like, even though the margin for error, as we've talked about all season long, has been very thin, it feels like the Braves maybe are finding a newfound confidence in these close games. At least the results are bearing out exactly what they want.
Yeah, maybe, after a long season of losing some of these close games, 2-1, 3-2, they're getting to that 3-4 run mark. And what did we say all in the first half of this season? If you can just give us 3 or 4 runs tonight, you feel like you could have won a lot more games. So yeah, maybe it's not the huge, drastic difference, all the 6, 7, 8 runs that we were accustomed to in the past. But with this pitching staff, like we've said all year long, just give them a little bit more and you feel like you can go on a good run. And that's what we've seen from this team.
Yeah, it's a very good pitching staff, and that's to say the very least, maybe the understatement of the show thus far, and we're only a couple of minutes in here. One of the top 3 staffs in baseball as far as ERA is concerned. It's the same thing as far as bullpen ERA. I believe the top strikeout club in Major League Baseball. It's crazy to think, Jake, before we jump into today's game, I just have to throw it out there. The Braves are accomplishing all of these things as a pitching staff, despite losing the ace of said staff 2 starts into the season. That continues to be one of the crazier developments of the 2024 Braves.
We talk about, how much they've lost offensively, and certainly they have lost a ton there. But yeah, you almost kind of forget that you lost Spencer Strider in the first couple of weeks of the season. And in those first couple of starts he made, obviously wasn't feeling good and wasn't great. So you pretty much haven't had the healthy version of Spencer Strider all year long. And yet this pitching staff, as you said, has been one of the best in baseball. Obviously has a lot to do with some of the guys that Alex Anthopoulos brought in, but also, Spencer Schwellenbach as well. Just been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, they absolutely have. And some of the reasons why, of course, are not necessarily the names you would have expected. And a resurgent Chris Sale. That doesn't hurt either. However, on this day, it was a veteran Charlie Morton who got the start for the Braves. He's been pitching pretty good here lately. Had to kind of grind it out in this one. And I think that, other than a walk and a home run, which is never a great combination typically, and it can be the Achilles heel for Charlie Morton, he was able to continue to find ways to grind it out, navigate, and get himself into the 6th inning. And the bullpen, as it has done so many times this year, took it from there.
Yeah, Charlie Morton's one that's, I want to say it's tough to figure it out. I think we just know at this point there's going to be an inning or two in his starts where things can get sideways from him. And it's, you watch the first inning in this one, and I'm thinking, how does anybody hit this guy? That curveball has so much movement, and he can throw 95, 96. He's got a changeup coming off of that. Everything's just kind of moving. And then the second inning, it's like, is this about to get out of hand now? He can't throw strikes. He's leaving pitches over the middle of the plate. It's been Charlie Morton for a couple of years now. He can look like one of the more dominating pitchers in all of baseball. And then all of a sudden he can lose it there. And, credit to him, he did there in that second inning, but was able to get it together and go deep into the ball game.
Yeah, he was able to do just that. It's crazy. It looked like we were cruising for another 1-run game in this one until Ramon Laureano went deep later on, which we'll get to in just a moment. But I just had to look because you were bringing up the trouble that they've had in all these 1-run games, just 15 and 19 in 1-run games. That is not a great mark, obviously. The Braves were losers in 1-run games in 2021 as well, and they played a ton of them back then. About a third of the season seemed like it was 1-run games in that particular year. But the paradox in being a sub-500 club in 1-run contests is the fact that the Braves somehow are 10-4 in extra innings, which is usually a 1-run game. So I'm not quite sure who wrote the script for this Braves season in 2024, but Jake, we continue to get some of the oddest stats and accomplishments for a club that has looked really nothing like its record for large portions of the season.
Been an odd season to say the least. Frustrating one for a lot of Braves fans, but yeah, it's record. Last year, we talked about all the offensive records this team was making on the good. It feels like this year, we've had a lot going the other direction, but either way, there's still a lot of talent there. We're obviously, still believe this team can get to the postseason and make a run with this pitching staff. That's been one of the bright spots all year long. But yeah, to say this is an odd season, I think that would maybe be the second obvious statement of the podcast. Now that we're 5-6 minutes in.
Yeah, no, we're really knocking these things down. We're on quite a pace if you want to look at it that way. But as far as the Braves offense, who was pacing them on this night, it was a little bit of everything. It was a different guy at a different time coming through. Orlando Arcia got the Braves on the board in the 5th with his 13th home run of the year. Then it was a 2-run rally in the 6th inning. Matt Olson just missed a 2-run homer. It was high off the wall. In fact, just above the bricks, that little concrete line right before it gets into the chop house seats, bounced back onto the field of play, but it was good enough to tie the game. And then Travis d'Arnaud, welcome back to the lineup after missing quite a few days, nearly pushing a week after getting hit in the hand last Saturday against the Los Angeles Angels. He comes through with a big base hit. And then Ramon Laureano, as I mentioned, gave the Braves a little bit of breathing room late. And with Raisel Iglesias down, a little breathing room was not a bad thing. Pierce Johnson came in and slammed the door. We'll talk more about the bullpen in a moment. But yeah, a little bit of offense from a few different guys. But great to see Matt Olson in the middle of that. He's been just really going through it again. I believe hitting 172 in his last 10 games coming into this one. It just seems like as soon as he gets a couple of good games under his belt, might be figuring it out, he seems to slide back into these where the results aren't there. Sometimes the hard hit contact's there, but he's not getting rewarded for it. But good to see him in the middle of this comeback for the Braves.
Had to feel good for him. And you mentioned the last 10 days. I actually have the last 15 days pulled up now, and he had the 781 OPS over that stretch, 3 home runs, 9 walks. And that's something that we haven't seen him do as much this year. We talked about it. I know the fact that when he was struggling before, maybe the time before this one, he was struggling and not taking his walks. At least now we've seen him walk a little bit more, and that's good to see. And the power's going to come. I thought that ball was gone on the night. A couple of balls tonight that I thought actually were gone that didn't travel quite as far. But, either way is a big hit for Matt Olson, one that he just needed. He's been struggling, no question about it. And you just can't have that for the guy, with this lineup the way that it is right now. You have to have him and Marcel and those guys in the middle really contribute. Travis d'Arnaud as well coming through with a clutch hit. But Matt Olson, just really big moment for him there to be able to drive in that run.
Yeah, it was. And unfortunately, for Marcell Ozuna lately, it seems like if he puts the ball in play on the ground, it's a double play here lately. But, you wouldn't really know it when he's the National League batting leader. At least you wouldn't be expecting things like that out of him. And obviously he's given the Braves a few more good at bats than that, but it seems like that's kind of been his lot here lately. So to watch the 4, 5, 6, and 9 hitters in the order be the guys who drove in the runs today, that was also good to see because Marcell Ozuna can't do it all by himself. We've been saying that all year long. So if he can get a little bit of a supporting cast around him, and I know that the Braves are also a MASH unit and some big names aren't available to them right now, but they've still got, as you look up and down this lineup, guys who've been there and done that. They've just got to find a way to start doing it again and doing it consistently as we continue to tick right on through the season, in which we've been saying that an awful lot for a very long time.
And base runners aren't the problem right now. I mean, they are getting plenty of base runners, 11 hits in this game. It's just driving them in. And like you said, those 4, 5, 6 hitters in the lineup, that's what you need. I mean, Whit Merrifield's getting on base every time he comes up to the plate. If he continues to do that, it's going to be a really good end of the season for Whit Merrifield. But, it's the inability to drive runners in. 3 for 7 with runners in scoring position tonight. That's a big improvement over what we've seen from this team lately. But yeah, getting on base has not been the issue for this team. It's just been not being able to come up with that big hit to get that run that you need to either, win a game or break a game open. So good to see them get a couple of those hits tonight.
Yeah. Atlanta, meanwhile, could not afford to let this series get away from them after beating the Phillies in that series to start things out. And they were, in fact, finally able to figure out a way to win a couple of games against the Nationals and take a series from them. They get a chance to go for a sweep on Sunday. The Nationals, and I've said this, and I believe this is usually the case, in just about every division across baseball in a given year, there may be a club in there that they've got no business winning it. They're not going to win that division, but they're going to play so well against a team that's trying to win the division that it might keep that club from being able to do it. And it's felt like, Jake, for a lot of the season, the Nationals have been that kind of kryptonite to the Atlanta Braves, but that has changed the last couple of days as far as evening up this season series and having a chance to take another bite out of that on Sunday.
And it's hard to tell, is that more just a Nationals team that in the first half, look, they were in consideration for a wild card. They were playing really good baseball in the first half while the Braves were, playing inconsistent, struggling, dealing with all these injuries and a lot of players regressing. So I think part of that is the Braves got the Nationals got the Braves at the right time and vice versa. But the Braves, it's good to see them kind of bounce back against a team like the Nationals, a team that you should beat. Even with all the injuries, the Braves still are a much more talented team than that Nationals squad. So good to see them be able to finally take advantage of that, win a series, and we'll see if they can get a sweep.
Yeah, winning the winnable games has been a problem at times for the Braves this year. They were able to do it, though, tonight, 4-2, the final score. A lot more to get to on this edition of the Braves Postcast. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about what Charlie Morton was doing. Some really nice pickups that came from the unlikeliest of places that have been helping the Braves win some games here lately. And, of course, we'll be taking a look ahead to Game 3 of the series, which comes your way on Sunday. All of that as the Braves Postcast continues. Get hydrated with electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients from the #1 powdered hydration brand in America. It's Liquid IV. Blast off with the iconic summer flavor of Popsicle Firecracker, a festive blend of citrus-fueled lemon lime tart cherry and raspberry flavors. No more thirsty summers when you indulge in hydration with Liquid IV. You can get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use the code MLB at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today by using the promo code MLB at liquidiv.com. Get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trade. Supplyhouse.com is a reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business and talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com's free TradeMaster program. Every TradeMaster gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at SupplyHouse.com/TM and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at SupplyHouse.com. Well, Jake, let's jump inside the line score and the box score for this game. A 4-2 win for the Atlanta Braves, who improved to 70-59 on the year. That's win number 70, 11 games over 500 now for Atlanta as well. 4 runs, 11 hits, no errors, and 8 men left on base for the Braves. 2 runs, 10 hits, 1 error, and 8 men left on base for the Nationals, who went 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position. That will tell you a little bit about how good the Braves pitching was in this game. The winning pitcher in this one was Aaron Bummer. He came on to close out the 6th inning. That's when the Braves went ahead, and Garcia takes a loss in relief for the Washington Nationals. He drops to 2-5. Bummer, meanwhile, 4-2, and Pierce Johnson got his second save of the season as well. Let's talk about the man who started this one for Atlanta. It was Charlie Morton, 5 2/3 innings, 8 hits on the board, but just 2 runs. They were earned, a couple of walks, 6 strikeouts, allowed the 1 home run as well. But overall, I felt like, again, as we talked about, Charlie Morton can run into these trouble innings. Sometimes they're worse than others. Usually he's able to navigate through if he gets on the other side of an inning like that. And I think he was able to do that tonight and continue to give the Braves just enough with the bullpen really stepping up behind him.
And one thing we obviously know about this Nationals team, and why I think they give the Braves and other teams problems, they put the ball in play. They have a lot of speed, and it's just one of those types of offense, similar to the Diamondbacks as well, who can be that kind of team as well. But I think they're just obviously more talented. And you saw that tonight. Charlie Morton, I mentioned it, he has really good stuff, swing and miss stuff. You saw it with Chris Sale the other night. It's just a team that they can put the ball in play, put some pressure on your defense. Luckily, the Braves have a really good defense. Orlando Arcia making an incredible barehanded play tonight. So it's just, Charlie Morton, he's a guy that's typically going to get those swings and misses, but not with this Nationals team. But to be able to kind of push through that, navigate through 8 hits, having to pitch with a lot of traffic, and to get out of that without, we still had 6 strikeouts, but, without having to rely on a lot of that swing and miss stuff. I think it's overall certainly a really good game from Charlie Morton, and one you will take. Kept the team in the game. Almost got through 6 innings. I was kind of a little surprised they took him out against Joey Gallo. knowing the numbers that he has against Joey Gallo. I think it's 21 at bats now, 17 strikeouts, and Joey Gallo still didn't have a hit against him. But either way, I understand the lefty-lefty matchup, and Bummer came in and took care of business there to close it out. But yeah, just a great job by Charlie Morton. Just navigating some of the inconsistency he had with command after that first inning and being able to go deep into the ball game.
Yeah, Aaron Bummer came in and got that strikeout in the honor of Charlie Morton. Is able to pick up the vulture win, though. That's a shame for Charlie, unable to pick up a victory for his efforts as the Braves bats did come alive there in the middle innings. Orlando Arcia homered in the fifth to get things going. Then in that sixth inning, it was Matt Olson just missing a two-run shot that would have been a go-ahead blast, but driving in the tying run there and then coming around to score on the Travis d'Arnaud single. So very quickly, the Braves went up 3-2 there in the sixth inning. Atlanta's bullpen doing the job after that. Dylan Lee, Grant Holmes, and Pierce Johnson were the Braves relievers who followed. Not a lot of swing and miss there, but not a lot of pitches thrown in some cases by these Braves relievers as well. So if that's going to be the case, I think you'll take it.
Certainly. 4-pitch save by Pierce Johnson. He told Raisel Iglesias, look what I can do. And be even more efficient. So, yeah, just incredible work by the bullpen as usual. And Grant Holmes, getting an eighth inning. I realize Joe Jimenez, Raisel Iglesias are down. It's the problem. I don't know if it's necessarily a problem when you're winning games. So you're playing a lot of close games and you're winning close games. You're going to use a lot of your good bullpen arms, obviously. So those two guys not available. So you go to Grant Holmes in the eighth inning. He has a little bit of traffic, but is able to work out of it. So again, just more confidence in Grant Holmes getting those spots in big situations, and Pierce Johnson coming in and closing it out, like I said, with 4 pitches, just truly incredible.
Yeah, the utility pitcher, Grant Holmes, right in the middle of some more good stuff for the Braves. He was able to get out of a jam of his own making there in the eighth inning, made some big pitches. And like you said, Pierce Johnson wasn't out there for long, but he got the job done, and it happened very quickly. And of course, Raisel Iglesias down. And I know we didn't postcast on Friday, but what he did there and what he's been doing lately has been nothing short of incredible. We talked to Brian Snitker before the game today just about, how he sees and how he views how special Raisel Iglesias has been. And he continued to just compliment the work that they have the utmost trust in his ability to do that multi-inning thing if they need to, and the fact that he can pretty much carve up anybody. And he's not just a closer that comes in and throws hard and has one out pitch, Jake. He's got a couple of different offerings with the changeup and with the slider to go with a fastball that can push up to 97 that I think he's just mixing and matching those pitches, and he's executing as well as I've ever seen him do it. And the proof, of course, was in that 35 batter consecutive streak of setting down all those hitters in a row. That's a perfect game and a third just about. And the fact that he hasn't given up an earned run since, I believe, the middle of June. So pretty incredible stuff for Raisel Iglesias here lately.
Yeah, and the fact that that streak ended on a pitch that got away from him, something you don't typically see from Raisel Iglesias, but it's just elite control with really good pitches. Fastball, as you said, 95, 96, 97, and he can locate it, a sinker that's boring in on right-handed hitters, a great changeup, and a slider as well. And we saw the other night in that Phillies game, he went away from the changeup, facing a team that was probably looking for it, knew he had it, and you're able to blow that fastball by him. So it's just, again, he's a really talented pitcher when you got all those pitches and you can execute them, throw them for strikes. Just really, really good. And now twice within a month span, he's coming in the ninth, pitched the scoreless innings, gone back out for the 10th, and left that ghost runner stranded. I mean, that is just invaluable when you have that out of your bullpen.
Yeah, and Brian Snitker was saying they really trust him, even with the tying run in a lot of cases, always out there when he's pitching in these situations. They just believe that Raisel Iglesias can get the job done, and clearly we've seen him do it more than a few times. So the bullpen did its job. Charlie Morton did his job. Offense, meanwhile, getting just enough for the Braves in this one. It looked like we were bound for another one-run game. I know I heard Brandon Gaudin late in the broadcast talking about some crazy numbers. They didn't get to the craziest of all, but this is the first time since 1995 coming in that there were 5 consecutive games where the Braves and their opponent scored 3 or fewer runs in each of those games. Had they gotten to a 6th one, it would have been the first time since 1916. That, of course, has been a minute, but they didn't get there thanks to Ramon Laureano with another home run. He has been a great pickup, and that brings us to kind of a larger point here, and I know it's something that we've been talking about a lot here lately with what these guys have been doing, but Whit Merrifield, Ramon Laureano, and now Gio Urshela, who has really just been everything you could have asked for at third base in place of Austin Riley, defensively speaking, and chipping in some base hits. Alex Anthopoulos went out and found a few pieces that other clubs didn't want, and he has installed them on a Braves team that very much needed the help. And these guys are playing some big roles right now for this Braves team.
Look, a lot of people complained. I was one of them that I didn't think they did enough at the deadline. as terms of the trades go, but you talk about the pickups that they have made in Laureano and Merrifield and Urshela. Those guys have come in and done really good work. You look over the last 15 days now is why I had this pulled up. Ramon Laureano has an 1120 OPS. He has been the best Braves hitter over the last 2 weeks, with Merrifield an 856 OPS. Yeah, it's crazy. And then Urshela too. It's short time, but he has an OPS over 800 with the Braves. So these guys have just come in and really just lit this lineup on fire and given them, a chance in these ball games. And, Ramon Laureano coming in here just breaking up history because he had to score that 4th run. But I mean, he's just been really, really good. Obviously at the plate with Merrifield, what he's done, like I said, 2 hits tonight, 2 walks, brings a speed element to this lineup. Gio Urshela with the defense, and he's got some hits as well. So those pickups right there have been really huge for this Braves team.
8th home run of the year for Ramon Laureano. And we've talked about how difficult it's been to just find contributors in this Braves outfield. You lose Ronald Acuna Jr. for the season. Michael Harris goes down for a couple of months. Adam Duvall not performing the way that you'd hoped. Jared Kelenic was hot for a while, then has also gone through his own things this year. It just seemed like, were the Braves ever going to be able to find some guys that could help them out in the outfield? Obviously, the big trade for Jorge Soler is one particular move, but that under-the-radar thing, this Ramon Laureano pickup has been a big one. And I know that there was, again, a lot of frustration about that game in New York, but that notwithstanding, this guy has come in and done everything and then some you could have possibly asked for a player who was cut by another first-place team earlier this year.
Yeah, just, crazy. And there's a lot of people that said after that play in New York, get him off the team. Why is he on here? I'm glad but they don't listen to us, because I'm glad that he has stuck around, just because he has been absolutely huge with the bat and coming in, did some really good work. And, Soler, when he was healthy, to his credit, he's been good as well. I'm not trying to say the trade was absolutely terrible. Certainly the Braves needed that bat. And again, when he's been healthy, a double, 3 home runs and 6 walks, he's been really good as well. Just need to get him back healthy and get him out there. But Laureano in particular, has just been great with the bat. 4 home runs in his last 12 games. So just another big pickup for the Braves, and Alex Anthopoulos, who's always out there looking for what piece can come in and click and really fit with this team.
Yeah, they're not always out there, and you're not always able to make the deals. But if there is something that makes sense, more times than not, you're going to see Alex Anthopoulos go out there and at least try to bring in some help for this club. And these guys have certainly done just that. All right, well, when we come back, we will discuss a little bit more about what's needed in Game 3 of this series as the Braves look to sweep away the Nationals, and what's going on in both the National League East and the wild card race for the Braves. Are keeping their eye on that. A little update on Jorge Soler, when he might be back in the starting lineup, which, spoiler alert, could be very soon. And, of course, we'll go through the pitching matchup for the finale. It's all coming your way next on the Braves Postcast. For those of us who thrive on getting stuff done, including workouts, every minute counts. That's why you need Tonal, the smart strength training system that takes the guesswork out of working out so that you can make sure that you're making the most of every rep. Tonal is the world's smartest and most effective strength training system, and it helps you get stronger. Powered by AI, Tonal teams with every rep so that Tonal learns from every rep so that you can deliver the workouts that are personalized for you. Tonal learns from your movement and provides suggested weight recommendations for every move with detailed progress reports. They even create personalized programs and workout suggestions or recommendations based on your individual goals. It's like having a personal trainer at home with you, as Tonal will optimize every workout just for you. Unlike traditional gym equipment, Tonal uses adaptive digital weight to advance your training techniques. From professional athletes to a mom of 3, Tonal is trusted by thousands who have become their strongest. Right now, Tonal is offering our listeners $200 off your Tonal purchase with promo code LOCKEDONMLB. That's Tonal.com. Use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $200 off. That is Tonal.com. Promo code LOCKEDONMLB for that $200 off. Let's look at Game 3 of the series as the Braves go for the sweep of the Nationals, a club that really had their number in the earlier meetings between these two teams. It was one of the more baffling parts when you started to break down like what the Braves have done head-to-head against clubs this year. They've been so good against winning teams and struggled against teams that honestly they should be, as you would say, Jake, taking care of business. The Nationals pretty high up on that list of teams the Braves should have been finding ways to beat more regularly than they were coming into this series.
They should have, but it's the struggles of this Braves team this year and just the inconsistencies really of the offense and just not being able to score 3, 4, 5 runs a game. I mean, again, we haven't been asking for much, but it's just that inconsistency that we've seen from them that's really caused them to not be able to put teams like the Nationals away, to be able to take series from them. So again, hopefully this is a turn for that, both for the offense and for how they play against some of these teams. Like the Marlins, again, had that frustrating series that they had against them, splitting that 4-gamer. So, again, need to see that down the stretch. If you're going to get into the postseason, if you're going to fend off a really good Mets team that's playing well, you are going to have to start winning these games down the stretch.
Yeah, and you're going to have to win these kind of games when you get into October as well. We've seen far too many times how important every single out can be, every single run can be, and the consistency that you need, on both sides of the ball, or really, I guess, from pitching and defense to hitting. The Braves are going to want to be feeling like they're able to play their best heading into those times. So it's going to be a test down the stretch. Philly's holding on to that 5-game lead in the NL East. Meanwhile, the Mets are holding their own against the Padres in a really important series out west. I think a lot of people would kind of look at it, I think, the same way that Braves fans have looked at those trips out west, Jake, where you get out there and all of a sudden things just kind of go wrong. And for the Mets thus far, it seems like they've been able to go out there and do some things against a Padres team that is very much in command of a wild card spot as well.
Yeah, and it's a situation for the Braves where, I think you want the Mets to lose to kind of create that separation, but it's also a chance where, you're trying to catch the Padres as well, who are in front of you to move up the ladder in the wild card standings. So, but, the Mets, like I said, a really good team playing really good baseball with a lot of confidence. They split the first 2 games out there. It looks like they might take this third one here on Saturday. So it's going to be a big race between those 2 teams and obviously the Diamondbacks for those 3 wild card spots.
The Phillies, meanwhile, are playing a series against the Kansas City Royals, who have been a nice surprise in the American League. That obviously is something where if the Braves can continue to handle their business and the Royals could help them out, might be able to shave off another game, though Saturday, Philly able to find an answer for what went wrong on Friday for them. However, you're going to kind of, I guess, do a little bit of scoreboard watching. I don't know that the Braves necessarily will, but Braves fans certainly are going to do it to see if in advance of next week, where, of course, the Braves will finish the series with Washington. They'll head to Minnesota for a 3-game series. Then you've got your final 4 head-to-head battles with the Philadelphia Phillies at Citizens Bank Park. The Braves 6-3 against the first-place Phillies, but those are 4 big games, and you don't need me to tell you, but I will anyway, because that's what we're here for. The Braves could take a bite out of that division lead, so maybe that race is still on, and then there's all of September after that. So who knows what could happen if the Phillies don't find a way to play more consistent baseball, because that has not been part of their second half script either.
It has not, and it's an opportunity here for the Braves. Like I've been saying, just my focus is winning series and winning these games that you should, and just kind of let the chips fall where they lie. But if you can, maintain this 5-game deficit going into that series, and you can win that series, then all of a sudden you're within 3 going into the month of September. That doesn't seem like it's too bad to overcome, but it is going to be, it's a lot to overcome just with the way the Braves have played this year. And the fact they haven't won these games against the Nationals and some of these other games, it's really hurt them right now. But you still have that opportunity if you can continue to play good winning baseball here.
Well, to do that, the Braves going to need their offense to continue to, score more runs than the other guys, which is something that they've done pretty well here lately, even if it hasn't been a bevy of runs every single night. We saw Jorge Soler pinch hit on Saturday. He was not in the starting lineup, which when the lineup came out, of course, made people wonder, is he still dealing with that injury? No, apparently not. He just needed some time to eat some Oreos and to get himself ready for a late inning appearance. But Brian Snitker said that the medical staff had decided, let's get him back in there on Friday, rest him on Saturday, then back in on Sunday during the day game. He'll have all the way to the rest of that day afterwards, and then all the way to Monday night's game to kind of recover. And then I think at that point, they're pretty much just going to roll with him moving forward. So the Braves medical, their plan with Jorge Soler was just to kind of ease him back in there a little bit after worrying about this hamstring issue that he dealt with for about a week and a half.
It certainly, it wasn't a good look on Friday night with him playing in the outfield, possibly costing Chris Sale a couple of runs there, the ball that he wasn't able to track down. And as we keep saying, it's not just a matter of getting that hamstring back to a point where he can, hit and run the bases. He's got to play in the field, and you have to make sure that he's healthy enough to play in the field with all of these close games. You cannot be giving up free runs defensively. So you really need to make sure that hamstring's ready to go and well enough that he can track down balls in the outfield.
Yeah, and more so than the hamstring. And I think more to the point of the Jorge Soler acquisition. I mean, you had to understand if this guy didn't play an inning of outfield at all in the regular season,
Yeah.
didn't play any in spring training either, you kind of knew the gambit going in. And there was going to be the possibility that he was not going to go out there and play gold glove defense. I think that everybody can kind of agree on that. But is it worth it if you get that offense in there, which, as you pointed out, when he gets rolling, can be a pretty big thing. And I don't know that Braves fans really need reminding of that. He's done it before and could clearly do it again, but there will be some shortcomings defensively at times. And I think for Soler, as much as anything, misjudging that ball doesn't help. And with the Braves not scoring enough runs or as many runs as you like, it certainly compounds things. But if he's able to start doing a little bit of slugging, I think that there'll be a little bit more perhaps forgiveness on the other side of the plays that he may not make because he's just not designed to make those. He's just not that player. Be that as it may, it will be good to get him back in the lineup, whether he's hitting the leadoff spot, second spot, whatever the Braves want to do with him. They certainly need that big bat in there, and it'll be nice to have him in there for Reynaldo Lopez, who's looking to follow up an incredible performance in his first outing off the injured list. Missed 3 weeks, Jake, and came out and threw arguably his best or most dominant start in a Braves uniform against the Philadelphia Phillies. If he can do it again, it'd be an opportunity to help sweep the Nationals, which has a little bit of history for Reynaldo Lopez because he himself is a former National.
Yeah, he looked outstanding in his first game back. I was a little worried about that one coming off the IL, facing that Phillies team. I know they're a little bit down offensively at the moment, but I mean, he looked incredible. I mean, just was able to throw everything, throw it with good confidence and command. So if he can do that again on Sunday, I think the Rays are going to have a really good chance of sweeping the series.
Yeah, no, they definitely could. 10 strikeouts for him, his first double-digit strikeout game since September of 2019. Of course, that was his last full season as a starter. He's back in there. The Braves hoping that that little 3-week rest there has him recharged for the stretch drive. His next test comes against the Nationals. Reynaldo Lopez, 7-4, 2.05 ERA against the lefty. That's DJ Hurst, who's 2-6 with a 4.15, who'll be on the mound for the Nationals. First pitch, of course, at 1:35 on Sunday as the Braves and Nationals wrap up the series and the Braves go for a sweep. That wraps us up here on this edition of the Braves Postcast. As always, we appreciate you riding along with us. Make sure to subscribe to Locked On Sports Atlanta on YouTube. We'd like those likes and comments, and share the show with a friend, and subscribe to Locked On Braves wherever you get your podcast. Once again, Atlanta with a 4-2 victory over the Nationals, a series win. We'll go for the sweep on Sunday. We will catch you after that. For Jake Mastroianni, I'm Grant McAuley. Until next time, so long, everyone.